Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Epistolary, and you're welcome back to Tyranny Short Stories. Let's start reading, shall we? Epistolary of Song and Stone by Robert Land. 17 Span of Swords, 430 TR. Dear Stelio, I don't know if you hear the news, but it seems Nerat got its wishes and I have officially been named its ward. Can you believe that? Is that enough? It's bad enough that they are forcing me to be part of the Scarlet Chorus, but now this? Why do I need to be its ward? Sometimes I wonder how Kairos maintains control of the world if these are the kinds of decisions coming from the palace. They have put the most powerful Archon in history, sorry, but we both know it's true, in the, and I use the word very lightly, care of that monster? I suppose I understand why I was so unceremoniously dumped on the rat's doorstep. But can you imagine how different things will be right now if I had actually succeeded? A couple more seconds and Terratus would have been short one tyrannical overlord. If I ever get the chance again, I won't let my excitement get the better of me. And this helmet? Did they at least tell you about the helmet? Seriously, what were they thinking? 2 armies worth of grown men and women so terrified of a teenage girl that they put this thing on my head. Okay, so it's a little funny, I guess. And the trouble they went through to silence me when they actually placed it on me. First, they magically silenced me. From another building, mind you. And then, for good measure, they bound and gagged me. Can you say paranoid? Granted, they were right to be. If I could have made a sound, they would have all found themselves jumping from the parapets. But that's really their own fault, isn't it? At least it's pretty, I will give them that. But if I attempt to use the full range of my powers, the gem in the helmet will shatter and kill me. Isn't that delightful? At least, that's what the rat says will happen. We both know it lies just as often as it tells truth, but I'm not about to experiment with my life on the off chance a homicidal monster is playing a trick to amuse itself. Anyway, I heard you are in Azure somewhere, is that true? And you're gathering beastmen, is that true too? I heard they're very busy, they're very brutish and hard to control. Are you sure that's what you want? Very exciting if it is. But you better be careful. We all know Kairos doesn't take it well if anyone deviates from all those carefully laid plans. Look out for yourself, Sirin. 4 Span of Reaping, 430 TR. Dear Stelio, yes, I know I should refer to you as Karen publicly, but this is hardly a public forum and I refuse to use the name that they gave you. You are Stelio. And as far as I'm concerned, you always will be. What's the worst they could do anyway? Yeah, don't answer that question. I already heard. I thought the helmet was bad, but an edict? Really? Although I suppose you can't really be all that surprised, can you? I did warn you about defying Kairos, especially with beastmen. Were they as savage as everyone says? My teachers were always so dismissive of them, calling them evil brutes. I can't believe you will associate with a group like that. Or were you trying to civilize them? That must be it. You always had a way with words in a way I never could grasp. All I can do is force people to see my side. You could convince them your way was better. I was always envious of that. How did you do it? I suppose now I may never know. What did it feel like? I mean, when Kairos' edict hit you, did it hurt? Was it terrible? That's a stupid question. And it's not like you can tell me anyway. Of course it must have hurt. Sorry. I don't know much about magic beyond my own. No one will teach me. Not that I blame them, really. I do seem prone to kill people. To be fair, though, only one of those deaths was intentional. I remember a time while I was in school, after the death of my instructor after they had magically wound my tongue. I would wander the building when I wasn't in class. Most of the time they immediately track me down and take me back to my room. but over time I learned a few tricks I could use to slip away unseen. A little girl could easily get herself lost in those corridors, and even with a location spell, it could take them hours to find me. All that time for myself. The gardens were one of my favorite spots. I could hide in the plants, breathing in the fragrance of the flowers, listening to the birds and insects, and feel the sun warm me through the leaves. Even while they tortured me and trained me, that was the most peaceful I have ever felt. Wow, this is terrible. Even then I found the library. I knew I would be punished severely if they found me in there, but I had to explore it. All that knowledge, I didn't understand most of what was in those books, but I looked through them anyway. Maps, history, magic. They had books of magic. They had books on magic. I had no idea anything like that existed. They wouldn't let me use my power outside of class, so this was my consolation. At least I thought it would be. Before I could even puzzle out the first real sigil, they found me. And I was right. The punishment was swift and severe. When I was caught in the gardens or the kitchen, all I would get was a slap on the back of the hand and the admonition never to do it again. When they found me in the library, I was dragged to the master's suite, such an ugly, spiteful man, and made to stand in his study for 5 days. I was not allowed to move. If I so much as shifted my weight from one foot to another, he would shock me with the rune they had placed under me. I was 10 years old. Can you believe that? By the 3rd day, I had decided I wasn't going to let that stop me. As soon as I was able to get away again, I would find the library and I would make them pay for what they were doing. The grand schemes of a child, right? Of course it was over a month before I was able to sneak away again, but I found the library. My mind raced with my revenge plans and I rushed to the door, ready to grab the first book I found and run. When I touched the handle, there was a bright blue flash and I was thrown back against the wall. The door opened and the master emerged from the library. "Sirin," he says in his cold, condescending tone. "It will appear you haven't learned your lesson." He walked over to me, leaning down so he could look directly into my eyes. They were a hard flat brown with fleck of gold. His nose had short, bristly hair sticking out all over. His lips were bright red and sagged awkwardly, giving him the appearance of sneering and frowning at the same time. And his breath, Stelio, I can't even begin to describe how bad it was. But I couldn't move. The magic has shocked me had also paralyzed me. "I won't make you stand in my study this time. You will stay right here and think about why you are in this predicament. That door," he pointed at the library, "is now warded against intruders. Or, more specifically, you. If you ever try to go in there again, this is where you will end up." He stood up and walked away, leaving me there to stare at the door that I will never be able to walk through again. "I'm sorry. I don't mean to compare a couple of days of pain to what you are going through. I suppose I just wanted to let you know that I know how it feels to have this power inside you, to have people use you for it, abuse you without a thought because they know better, try to control you and force you to do what they want without a thought for your needs. I understand what you want to do, Stelio, and you didn't deserve such a harsh punishment. In the middle of the horror brought upon this world by Kairos, you wanted to create something more. I wish you had been able to, Sirin." 19 Span of Frostfall, 430 TR. Dear Stelio, Nerat came into my tent this morning. It was holding its hand behind its back, bouncing from foot to foot with obvious excitement, and giggling, making that horrible noise it makes when it wants to toy with its prey. Its mask was frozen rictus of joy, taunting me. "You have been a bearing of the girl," it crackled, its voice cracking as it rises in happiness. I recognized the voice immediately and know it led her through just to torture me, which meant it wasn't playing around. It had a very specific purpose for its visit and wanted to cause as much pain as it possibly could. What do you want, you old witch? No, no, no. What do you want, you old witch? I snapped at it. I really wasn't in the mood for games. I wanted to tell me why it was there and go. It just giggled again and rocked back on its heels. I knew it wouldn't be that easy. It never is with Nerath. Secrets and games, that's all it knows, isn't it? Is that any way to treat your uncle? It cheated. The honey in his voice nauseated me. Perhaps you should be nicer to us, little bird. Perhaps you have a hug for us. Then maybe your punishment won't be as bad. Give your hug to yourself, auntie, because we both know that's not what all you want from me. I don't know why Nerat is letting you talk, but if you think that is going to scare me, try again. I inadvertently looked a few steps away from it as I spoke, betraying my nervousness. So unless you feel like pushing a sword up through your chin, tell me what you want and get out. I'm not sure it will actually kill you, but I would love to find out. It laughed again, then moved towards me, making low, admonishing clicks with its tongue as it did. We know you are unable to control us. We know you have tried, so your little bluff isn't going to work on us, little bird. The condescending tone of its voice made my lip curl into a sneer. I'm the one that tried to kill Kairos, I say, startling it down in its blank, frozen eyes, taking slow, deliberate steps toward it as I spoke. When I was 12, I tried, and very nearly succeeded, to destroy someone that countless armies have been unable to even get near. Do you think self-preservation has ever been my goal? True, it might kill me to do it, but if I could rid the world of your foul presence, I will use the full extent of my powers on you. It stopped moving towards me, and I knew it had never considered it. I would actually sacrifice myself for anything, let alone its destruction. It stood there for a moment, staring at me with its frozen face. And then it laughed again. My feelings of superiority crumbled when it giggled at my threat. You are absolutely adorable, songbird. It says and closed the gap between us. I refuse to back up or recoil. I will never give it that satisfaction. We found something of yours, snuffed the bird. It whispered gleefully, its breath playing over my face in a hot green mist. We're known for quite some time, but we let you play your little game, but enough is enough. I could feel the horrible desires of that personality talking to me, pushing at the edge of my brain. It wanted me to climb inside its head. It wanted me to know all the things it desired to do to me. You will be so proud of me, Stelio. I stood my ground. I held its gaze and I did not relent. Eventually it shook its head and took a step backward. Fine, it says. We tried to be nice about it, but you refused to play. It took its hand out from behind his back and held a snack of paper under my nose. Where did you get those? I asked. The fury felt, making my voice drop to a whisper. My gaze went to the chest at the foot of my bed. It had been moved. Not my bunch, but someone had been in it. I looked back at the rat. You went through my things, my personal belongings? I reached out to grab the stack, but it pulled them back before I could take them. Those letters are mine. How dare you violate me like that? Isn't it enough that I have to endure your insensitive chatter and your clumsy advances? No wait, those are letters of mine. How dare you... I read in the wrong voice. I directed the last part at the voice currently speaking through its body. I'm sure it's flinched a little. That felt good. If you dare come into my room again when I'm not here, I will scream so loudly the entire chorus will tear us both apart before you can silence me. It just stared at me holding my letters, the letters I have spent the past year writing to you, out in front of it. Then it suddenly set them down on the table and turned to go. Take care, songbird, it says, and its voice was Nerat's again. You may not believe I have your best interest in mind, but I do. Kairos might not have had you executed for your little display in the palace, but that is only because you are useful right now. Your time will be better spent staying useful instead of writing letters to a dead man. You are lucky you never sent them, or both of us might also be dead right now. Then it walked out of my tent. I don't know how long I stared at those letters, Stelio, while Nerat's word echoing in my mind. You were always the one I could talk to about anything, everything. So many secrets in that pile, so much information no one should ever know, and so my personal stories that I had never told anyone. All dangerous information in the wrong hands, and deadly if the wrong person found out about it. As much as it pained me to admit it, it is right. You were always a good friend to me, but I have to look out for myself. I have to let the rat win this battle. Tonight, I will burn these letters and say goodbye. I only hope you can forgive me. I will never forget you, Sirin. The Scarlet Fury stood in the door to the voices of Naran's tent for a while before she finally pushed through. Being in his presence always gave her the most uneasy feeling, and she was afraid what she had to show him would not go well for her. What do you want? We're busy. Nerat seems distracted. That was good. If she could ask him and get away without drawing too much attention to herself, it might go much better than she had hoped. I found Sirin in the aviary. She was picking up the birds one by one and singing to each one of them. The voice of the rat stopped what he was doing and turned to look at her. Shit, she thought. Exactly what I don't need. She was also holding this. The Fury held out a piece of paper. Neda stepped over to her and took the paper. She stared at it intently for a minute or two, then handed it back. Give that back to her, Nerag instructed. Also give her one of my personal message bearers. Then leave her alone. She has business to attend to. But, the Fury protested, against her better judgment. Do as we say, Nerat snapped. The Fury left Nerat's presence to do as she was instructed. Good little bird, Nerat whispered after the Fury disappeared. Obey. To a span of 4 fire, 431 TR. Goodbye, my friend. I'm sorry. I hope you are at peace. Sirin. The end. Okay, that was cool. Sirin was the same little girl that the last one, wasn't it? The songbird, yes. I think it was the same person. Let me see quickly. Let me see. Where is it, the name? Yes, it's the same person, Sirin. So we're following her journey. Okay, and the next one is from Paul Kirch, Red Recruitment. I will this one in the next one. Thanks for listening. I hope you have a blast. I was Telos Chevalier, signing out. Bye bye.